There it is. All right, we'll try again this week after a little bit of a fail last week, but lessons learned in regards to that fail. Let's get out of that. That fail that happened last week. I think I've learned what went wrong. The audio was extremely choppy. I wouldn't want to put anyone through sitting through that again. If you are listening live, if you can jump in the chat and say hello, that'd be awesome to know that you're there. I would like to know if you can hear the fan that I've got going beside me and if that's annoying or if that's okay. So if you happen to be listening, make comment on that fan in the chat. So I'm going take 2 first. Look, Justin set me up. Nice bright light, new camera. I've got a green screen behind me that I am able to drop images onto. So that's a fun new experience. I was worried I was going to blend into the background though with my black t-shirt and just be a floating head in space. But here we are. Last week, the conversation was I had a conversation with myself around strong versus skinny, but the audio was so bad that no one else could really participate in that. So I'm going to go over that again today. And I titled this one, What Society Does to Our Ideals. And I just thought it would be worth almost to cement my brain in place to start with. What are ideals? Ideals are principles, values, or standards that a person or a group of people believe are important and strive to achieve. So what does society do to our principles, values, or standards in terms of what we think is important or what we strive to achieve? And so with this one, strong versus skinny, should have been a little bit more organized. I'm going to drop the submitted question in again. And because no one knows what I said last week, this one was in my DMs. So no name with this one. The background is backwards for us. Aww. How's the fan though? Justin just telling me that the background is backwards, which is hilarious because it's the right direction for me. So that is really interesting. Let's make some changes. You guys can bear with me while I do that. Not that. Oh, look. Let's show that. How did I do that? Media assets. Where's my green screen button? Sound is good. Okay, that's good to know. I'm sad that that's backwards. I need to work out how to change that. Otherwise, I guess I can leave it for this one and change it for the next one. In case you're not sure what reading backwards says, CrossFit. Forging Elite Fitness is behind me, behind my chair. So we'll fix that backwards background next week, I guess. Thanks for letting me know, Juzzy. All right, where was I? Strong versus skinny. Hello to Matt. Matt says, hi all. Thanks for dropping a comment in the chat there, Matt. YouTube rejected your comment. This usually means they think it's spam. Try changing it a bit. Okay, lots of lessons today. The question was, what are your thoughts on body dysmorphia? How women work with CrossFit body or gym strong body versus supermodel body, and just general society norms and strong masculine versus skinny culture, which is why I titled it Strong versus Skinny. That probably summarizes the first part of that question. The question then follows on to say people feel conflicted. So I could only make an assumption that the person that sent this in assume or puts themselves in the category of people. So this person, and then their presumption would be other people also feel conflicted, wanting to be skinny, but also wanting to be strong. The question asked me, have I personally ever struggled with it? And what are your thoughts on both body desires? So strong versus skinny. I'll stop that banner from running across because it's annoying me a little bit. Hi, Ree. Thanks for joining this live stream. I guess you're either working from home today or not working, and that's why you get to join it, because I doubt you'd be able to put this on at the hospital. So that's strong versus skinny. What are my thoughts on it? Have I ever struggled with it? I guess I'll start simply by saying I don't recall ever struggling with the urge or the desire to be both strong and or skinny. I think that I grew up appreciating the fact that I was quite sporty. And so with that, I never really had this thought to be smaller. I always wanted to be better at my sport. And I guess I never really connected a body shape with being better at sport. So I simply put, just to get this part out of the road, have I ever struggled with wanting to be skinny? I don't think so. I'm probably really lucky too. When I was growing up, I'm sure many people experienced their parents would buy the magazines from the newsagents or whatever, and there would be the 1,200 calorie diet or the 10 best exercises to lose body fat or tone arms or whatever it might have been. We never really had, like my parents never bought things like that. They didn't kind of buy into what would you call that? Well, these days it would be social media stuff, but they never really bought into magazines that were for consumption. So I never was exposed to maybe thinking that would be a thing, or that maybe I should look or feel that way, what was being presented there. So I don't think it's something I've ever struggled with. I'm not going to say I've never thought about losing weight though, because obviously across life you think, oh, I feel like I've gained weight, I'd like to lose weight, but I've never thought I need to be skinnier. It was always just like, I feel like my body shape isn't reflective of the things I can do or what I think it should look like. So there's always that flip-flop backwards and forwards of like, I'd like to lose a couple of kilos randomly throughout the year, but I don't think it's ever been anything that's consumed my life. When it comes to strong versus skinny, what I kind of wanted to talk about, or what I discussed last week that couldn't be heard, I think that these are two. So I mean, when you say strong, people know people have an idea of what strong is for them. When you say skinny, people have an idea of what skinny is for them. I probably look at this strong versus skinny, and this might just be due to being in the CrossFit affiliate for so long now. It's like, I don't look at it as strong versus skinny. I look at it as capable. So there are, and just to use that descriptor, skinny people at the gym. I wouldn't call them skinny, but compared to the population might call them skinny. I would call them capable people. So it's almost more like a strong and capable and a skinny and capable, or strong and not capable, skinny and not capable. So that's kind of the way that I guess I've never really thought to about strong versus skinny, because I know that you don't have to be huge to be strong relative to your body shape, and you don't need to, like, skinny people can also be strong, but I guess using that word skinny is like someone's presumption or someone's idea of skinny can be different to someone else's idea of skinny. So again, it comes back to, are you capable or not capable? Capable is the better way that I would probably look at this. The question itself though, what are my thoughts on body dysmorphia? If that's something that you struggle with, seeking help would be an option, but understanding what it is that you really want is probably the best place to start. So how women work, and I guess it could be men too, with the CrossFit body or the strong body versus having a supermodel body. And the question would be, like, what's more important to you? If you would prefer to have a body that looks like a supermodel body, is that not a capable body for you? And these would be my questions. My question would go that way of, can you have a supermodel body that is also capable? Or is that the trade-off for having a supermodel body, where potentially, like, you're outside and a gust of wind could blow you over. So my question there would be, like, what's, for this person that asked this question, or anyone that might struggle with it, like, what's important to you? But at the same time, there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. Like, what do you want? My personal values and my personal ideals would be, I prefer to be capable. And if that means that I don't fit into the skinny picture, I don't mind. If you, it's a hair blowing on me. If you want to be skinny and you're worried because you also think or understand the benefits of being capable, so let's say strong in this case, what is it about those two things that is making you question which one is right? And that would be the question that I posed there. And so then it goes on to say general society norms kind of about being strong or masculine and skinny culture. And I'd say that's probably one of the things there. Like, the question specifically says strong or masculine. I don't, and this is again society and society's ideals, and that initial definition of ideals being principles, values, or standards that a person or a group of people believe are important and strive to achieve. So I've been within the CrossFit space for so long that my ideals, my beliefs, my standards to strive for are about being as capable as possible and as strong as possible relative to yourself. I'm not looking at the games athletes and saying I should be as strong as them, but I am looking at myself and going, am I progressively getting stronger over time, or more capable over time, or just like, am I improving? Is my fitness increasing? And so that's the way I would look at it. So for me, in terms of that question, strong being masculine, in the CrossFit space, I've never looked at a woman or a female in the CrossFit gym and thought they look masculine. But I can understand that outside of that space, there is the potential that society would look at any of the females within our CrossFit gym and have some sort of thought that maybe they look masculine based off their idea of muscle on women. And so if this is something that you struggle with in terms of body dysmorphia, like, first understanding what you actually want is important. If you want to be skinny, understand that and know that. If you want to be strong, understand that and know that. If you want to be capable, because that's the descriptor or the term I'm using mostly for this, understand that, and then put yourself in an environment or in social situations or friendships groups that promote that. So the best thing, and again, I might be biased because I've been in the CrossFit space for a long time, the best thing for changing lifestyle and nutrition habits for the better is surrounding yourself with a group of people that are also doing those same things. So you come into the CrossFit gym, everyone's trying to be better, like better themselves. They're not trying to be skinny when they come to CrossFit. Essentially, there are so many movements that you can get so much success from with consistent practice at, that there is this reward system within the CrossFit space of, I am improving. And that's what I look forward to. Potentially, and this is me just making assumptions based off other gym environments. Sometimes the whole idea of the class might be to burn as many calories as possible. That to me sits within that space of, I'm trying to be skinny because I'm trying to burn as many calories as possible, because at the end of the day, that will result in weight loss based off what I understand of calories in and calories out. Whereas when you come into the CrossFit space, I don't care how many calories you burn in class or don't burn in class. It's about, did I improve today? Did I do something new today? Have I done something better? And it is a effort and reward for what you can do, not how much you weigh or how many calories you burn, but actually for what you as a person are capable of. So whether or not, if you suffer from body dysmorphia, if that kind of puts you in a place where you don't know where you want to be, or what side of the strong versus skinny spectrum that you want to be on. Work that out first, and then put yourself in as many of the environments as possible where that is more normal, and then that will limit the amount of questioning you might do on yourself. Potentially for this person, maybe both of these they understand, or they might have two groups of friends, a group of friends that's into fitness and a group of friends that's not into fitness. And so let's say the fitness group is more considered that strong group, and on the other side of it, that fitness group is more considered, that other group of friends is more considered that skinny group. If you're spending time with both of these groups, then you're going to get conflicting information because each group's ideals are different. So take a step back, decide what it is that you might want or not want in terms of your body and what it can or can't do, and then have a look at what situations in your personal life and the environments you put yourself in either lead you towards that or push you away from that or cause you to question which one it is that you might want. There was a secondary question that was also sent in DMs, and it was, how do I get rid of my skinny little arms without lifting heavy things? And I would ask the same question or similar question here, like, what is it about your arms that you don't like, and why do you want to avoid or not lift heavy things but still don't want skinny arms? So how do I get rid of my skinny little arms without lifting heavy things? You probably can't. You could do, and again, this would be, it might not be external weights, but performing full range of motion push-ups might help build your chest and your arms. Will it make them massive? They might be bigger relative to your body shape, but it also comes down to diet and the amount of effort you're putting in. Will you still think they're skinny compared to other people's? Potentially. So the question would be, why do you think they're skinny? And why are you worried about entering an environment that has heavy things available? Or is that just being a non-consideration for you? Justin's in here and he says, do bicep curls. Again, you can increase the size of your body even without heavy weights, as long as the repetitions are there. So building that muscle through hypertrophy, full range of motion movements, stretching, and short end, long end in that stretch to build that muscle through that range of motion. Now, at some point, the body will adapt. So let's say you've got 5 kilo dumbbells and you don't consider them to be heavy. At some point, your body will adapt to doing bicep curls with 5 kilo dumbbells, and essentially you'll plateau. The muscle strength or size that you can gain from doing 5 kilo bicep curls will hit a point where it just stops increasing, and there'll be a point where you will have to go heavier. Now, will you consider that heavy after that point? I guess that's the question too. It's almost like, what is heavy to you? What are you worried about? Are there people in your life right now that might be significantly stronger than you, and that's why your concern is that you don't want to lift heavy things? Are you seeing what other people lift and then thinking that that is what you have to lift, but it's heavy? And so the question would be, 1, have you done anything yet? 2, what do you consider to be heavy? And probably third and follow-up question or statement, if you're not already inside a group fitness space or with someone who I guess is encouraging you to do bicep curls, for lack of a better term, for your skinny little arms, as it says, that's quoted in there. Put yourself in that environment. It's the same thing as the body dysmorphia or the ideas of like what's right, strong versus skinny. If you just cement yourself, enter yourself into an environment of people that are doing that already, this is going to become easier, and no one's going to question you for how light or heavy the weight is. They're going to be happy, or they should be, and if they're not, go train with someone else. They should be happy that you're doing something. I would much prefer to know people are exercising anywhere, anytime, anything. Then, they say, oh, sorry, I can't come to CrossFit anymore, but I'm doing this instead. I would much prefer that than hearing someone say, sorry, I can't come to CrossFit anymore, and I'm also not doing anything anymore. Something is better than nothing. And put yourself in an environment that promotes being better. That's what's great about the CrossFit space too. Often in that group environment, there's always someone who's better at something. So there's always almost like a rabbit to chase for certain things, which helps level you up as you go, because you can see there's like a standard or a time or a weight that you can look at and objectively go, that could be something I do with enough training over time. So it's not out of the question, because if someone else can do it, we can all do it. It's just whether or not we want to apply that time, effort, energy into doing that. So they're my thoughts on strong versus skinny, what society does to our ideals. And obviously, just to wrap it all up, I mean, the circles that you hang around with or the groups that you spend time with tend to dictate what those ideals are, and they tend to be what pushes you forward. What is that saying? You are similar to the 5 most people you hang out with. You are most similar. Let's see if I got that right. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if the 5 people you spend the most time with all prioritize being skinny, then that's probably what you're going to prioritize. If the 5 people you spend the most time with are all focused on being stronger, fitter, faster, let's lump that into more capable people, that's probably where you're going to prioritize your ideals. That strong versus skinny, I mean, like I said, I don't see that a lot in the CrossFit space, because we are, what's the word, promoting people, lifting people. Like, the goal is for people to be as good as they can be and to continue to improve. It's not to be as small as the person beside them or as strong as the person beside them. It's just to progressively get better with consistency over time to increase their fitness. And that's the rewarding things. So when it comes to strong versus skinny, I think that disappears a little bit if you step inside the CrossFit space, more so than potentially outside in other gyms, other group fitness classes, other social groups. Matt, if someone's going to try and lose fat but not muscle, what would be the best approach? I notice since my cardio increased, my muscle mass is decreasing quickly. So really general, without getting too much into the weeds, because there'd be a bunch more questions I'd probably ask. If you're in a calorie deficit, then you're going to be losing fat and muscle. You can't not lose both. What I would say is, though, you can minimize the amount of muscle loss by making sure you've got an adequate amount of protein. My follow-up question, and whether you've got time to sling an answer in the chat, Matt, would be, have you had a measurement done and you know you're losing muscle, or do you just feel weaker? Because that would be my question too. Maybe the muscle is still there, but it's not being trained in the same way it was prior to the increase in cardio for the Ironman. And so my question to you would be, do you know you've got less muscle? How much less muscle do you have, as well as losing fat? Or do you just feel less strong at the moment? That would be my question. Outside of that, I mean, is the goal to lose fat, or is that just a byproduct of the extra training you're doing? That would tell me that from the training that you're doing, the calories that you're eating right now, you must be in a deficit. If that's happening, if you're not losing any weight, then I would assume that you're in maintenance calories. If you're trying to lose weight while training for the half Ironman, then caution on recovery. just being in a deficit will mean that their recovery isn't as great. So that can also play a factor into muscle growth or limiting the ability for muscle maintenance or muscle growth there too. So a couple of thoughts just quickly there without having too much of the extra detail. If someone's going to try and lose fat but not, maybe I misread that, Matt. You said you're going to try to lose fat but not muscle. So I would say keep protein up, but be prepared for some muscle loss. You can't have one. You can minimize muscle loss, but I think that there would still be a level of muscle loss or strength reduction, maybe not necessarily a great deal of muscle reduction. A bit of both, Matt says. I can see my shoulders and arms getting smaller. I would like to stay the same size but lean off a bit. Currently losing about 200 to 250 grams a week. Are they really getting smaller? Is it muscle that's reducing there? Is it potentially what do I want to say here? I'm going to say water weight for the sake of it. Like maybe your shoulders carry a lot of, sounds funny to say water weight in your shoulders, but as in like the muscles in your shoulders might hold more water. That's what might make them look bigger. And if you are in a deficit, particularly there will be water loss, less water retention in those muscles. So I guess the question would be, 1, have you had a scan to tell you whether or not your muscle mass is less? 2, it's kind of part, that's not a question, it's kind of part of the process. It then becomes like what's the plan after that? Because then if the thought process is essentially the body, while doing a lot of cardio, tries to be as small as possible. That's the most efficient way for the body to move while the goal is predominantly cardio. So the body has a funny way of trying to slim you down naturally from cardio more than what lifting weights could or would do over time. If you were bulking or trying to increase muscle, then obviously that would be the flip side of that, where it's like potentially you'll start to look a bit bigger because you're trying to grow muscle. And the same, like on the flip side of that, the same thing applies. If you're trying to get more muscle, it's not possible to grow only muscle without increasing body fat somewhat as well. But as I said, on the flip side of that, it would be we're trying to grow muscle while minimizing as much fat increase as possible. Whereas when it's cardio, it's like, hey, we're trying to minimize muscle loss as much as possible. So it goes both ways depending on what your goals are there. Justin comes in here and saying, are they just losing water? Potentially. We were talking about inflammation at the gym this morning. One of the girls, when she started 3 or 4 years ago, you could see in pictures of her face, it looked like her face was inflamed. And now when you look at her, it looks much leaner in her face. And it is just 4 years of consistent training, but also her body adapting to that training now. But also, as she said to me, she's like, I cleaned up my diet a lot. And with that comes less inflammation from food or alcohol, and therefore less inflamed, less water held in the whole body, and a slimmer look also. So I wonder if that's just what's happening to your shoulders, Matt, where there's less water retention in the muscles of your shoulders, and that's why they look slimmer. Justin also says creatine. That would be a good point, Matt. If you're not taking creatine, take creatine while you're training. If you are currently taking creatine, great, keep that up. Creatine does, because of its benefit to both brain and body, it does increase water retention a little bit. So people do also find if they stop taking creatine for a bit, there's a little bit of a reduction in water retention there too. So there's so many variables that could come into play there. But at the end of the day, like, do you just feel smaller in the arms and the shoulders? Have you had a scan? Is your strength decreased? And then on the flip side of that, right now your goal is a half Ironman, would only be my assumption. Tell me if I'm wrong. And it's like, this is just part of that journey, and you will probably feel not as strong and potentially lean out a bit, which might feel like you're losing muscle just as part of that journey, because it's so cardio specific at this point. If you went then onto the flip side of that and did 12 weeks of trying to bulk as much as you can, you'd see the other side of things. You'd get stronger, but you'd probably get bigger. And there's a reason why in the bodybuilding space it's like growth, like get as big as possible, build as much muscle as possible for a period of time, and then they do a massive cut towards the end, because they're not lying to anyone in the bodybuilding space. It's not I'm just packing on muscle and no fat at all for half of the year. They are well aware that their weight increase is both muscle and fat, and then come the lead up or the prep to their competition, it is that calorie deficit for fat loss with the goal to be a minimal amount of reduction in muscle mass, so that they can keep the muscle they've gained, show it off with as little amount of fat on their body as possible. So you got to decide, I guess, what your goals are, what's important to you, and know that it's almost, it can be seasonal. All of these things can be seasonal. Your goal right now might be more cardio specific. In 3 months' time, it might be more strength specific. In the 3 months after that, it might be more gymnastics specific. Like, as long as you know what your goals are and you don't kind of get distracted trying to chase 2 rabbits at once and catching none of them. Well, I hope you like my new back to front screen that I'll fix next week. Thanks so much for the comments, guys. It does help me talk. I thought I'd only come on here for 15 minutes today, but just based off the conversation or the questions that came up as well, that allowed it to go for a little bit longer. So I do appreciate that. If you have not, sign up for the CrossFit Open. It starts next Friday. The workout will get announced at 7 a.m. on Friday morning, and we will find out what we're doing for week 1. It runs for 3 weeks, and honestly, it's a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing it in whatever capacity I can. So it would be cool to have as many people come to CrossFit Dauntless and participate in the Open too. It's kind of like, if you don't often do competitions, go to other towns and do partner comps or team comps or individual comps. This is like your opportunity for the year to just challenge yourself, get outside your comfort zone a little bit, feel that competition environment without it really meaning too much, other than you do your workout for the day, you log your score on the online leaderboard, and you get to compare yourself without comparing yourself to the rest of the world, see where you fall, and then have something to look back on each year in terms of improvement. So if you haven't signed up to the Open, make sure you do that. If you've been watching but you didn't comment, maybe comment next time. It's nice to know who's listening, and I appreciate that you guys are. If there's any questions that you've got that you want me to talk about, feel free to comment on this after I end the stream, unless you've got one right now, but I'll give you 10 seconds and we'll see. Guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks to Juzzy for the camera and the light. And we'll call that.